Welcome to this month's edition of Tea Tasters. My name is Mark. Now this month I've got a real delight for you to try. I always think about this tea as being the tea that one would try if they'd never ever tried tea before. It's an easy drinker and it's a really special tea for me because it's full of what's absolutely fantastic about all the manufacturing processes, all the complexity of manufacturing processes associated with tea. So this is a Guan Yin from China. It's a oolong tea, and I'm just going to describe how oolong tea works in the whole spectrum of tea production. So literally, if we pluck a leaf from a plant and dehydrate it in a manner, then we have what we call a white tea, so unoxidized. A green tea has been prevented from oxidizing and becoming black by the introduction of either heat or steam. A black tea has been allowed to fully oxidize, so it's a tea that's achieved more than 70% of its total ability to be oxidized. Now, in the middle, between a green and a black tea, we have this special classification of tea called an oolong. And as I was saying, our Guan Yin from China is an absolutely fantastic example of a tea that's been lightly oxidized, so typically up to about 40% of its capacity to be oxidized. So I'm going to brew some up in a second. We can have a look at some of the flavors, but just generally oolong tea is quite complex to produce. Always a sign of a great oolong is one that has stalk content of less than maybe 20%. So I mean, I'm quite happy looking at this. It has quite a low stalk content. You can see here I've allowed some leaves to fully open up, and there you just start to see what I'm talking about. When we talk about a leaf that's being partly oxidized, on the outside of the leaf you see a beautiful a darkness, a blackness, and that gives a slight sweetness and gives the aromatic character to oolong tea. So you can have a look at those in a bit more detail, I think, while I get some of this brewed up and we can have a little taste. Save the best things till last. We're going to have a taste of this magnificent tea now. And like I said, if you've never ever tried a tea before in your life, this would be a great one to start your repertoire with. So I've got a beautiful pot here that's been made for us by Alison Appleton. And I'm just going to heat up that pot. Always good to heat up the pot so you get the best from the brewing. We would always advise at Twinings to put about 4 to 5 teaspoons in there. I'm going to put a little bit more. I'm going to put about 7. Now the reason I put this much in is because with this tea, as we do in the Gong Fu tea ceremony, we can keep filling this pot up. So the first time we brew this, we might just leave it a minute or so. Then we can brew this each time until the flavour is exhausted. And we could go up to about 5 or 6 minutes worth of brewing time here. So it's always great to be adventurous with multiple brews on these very good quality Chinese teas. And as I was just saying, leave each one slightly longer to brew. Now, when we look at our infused liquor aroma, we use our tea tasting set. We always use 1 teaspoon, so I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm just going to top that up. Of course, this cup's been preheated in advance. So it's 3.5 minutes. We've got our tea tasting crockery here. Let's have a look in a bit more detail at the different components we would look at when we're tasting tea or appreciating tea. So, of course, we looked at the dry leaf a little bit earlier on. So I'm going to look now at the infused leaf. Wow, it's a really rich, it's buttery, it's almost dairy-like. You might almost think it's like a warm cheese. It's absolutely captivating. So it's a buttery, dairy-like aroma. It's got some great length to it. Let's have a look now at the infused liquor. It's nice and clear. It's got a bright, almost light emerald green sheen to it. It really does leap out of the cup. And then when we look at the flavour and the mouthfeel experience, slightly citrus, but more so florally. It's got a nice kind of caramel sweetness rolling in on the length. This is a great tea. It's a really easy drinker, and all tea drinkers should surely have time to try a good quality light oxidized oolong like this. So that's me, Mark. This is Tea Tasters. I'm going to indulge myself now in our tea this month, and until next time, happy tea times.